The MG3 has been a staple of the brand's lineup since it returned to the UK in 2013 under its SAIC ownership. Other models may have come and gone, but this has continued and into its third iteration. It's the first MG3, however, to make the 1.5 litre petrol engine with a 100 kilowatt electric motor, making it a full hybrid. Now, the Super Mini segment is wide open since Ford ended production of the Fiesta, and it's an important market for MG. This is a budget model, so it's going to appeal to maybe the younger audience, those looking for a simple car that they can drive around cities or take out on the motorways. It's not all that flashy, it's not all that premium, but it does a job. And we can see MG's style in the front end. They've taken the angular MG4 look and made it a little bit softer. There's less sharp points. We have some nice curves here on the louvers. And on this, the trophy model, you even get a carbon fibre-esque splitter at the front. The narrow headlights move in and give it that aggressive look. And as it's a small car, it does look fairly stanced as well. I have to say, from the front end, I really do like this. I think it's a nice looking car and it belies its £18,495 price tag. Although this, the trophy model, is an extra £2,000. And for that, you get a range of extra goodies. Now, as it's a Super Mini, it's not all that long, 4.1 metres, with the 16-inch alloy wheels located almost in each corner, giving it really good stability on the road, but we'll come to that in a moment. We come to the back end and it's very, very basic. We have the LED lights tinted red. They just sort of taper to a point. We don't get that long LED light bar that we see on the MG4 or on other brands as well. It's a real design trend at the moment. We have a large rear window, but it doesn't give the best visibility from the rear view mirror. We also have a really scratchy plastic guard at the bottom there. That's just in case you hit a pillar or something, hit a curb, need to replace it, nice and cheap. The boot is actually quite decent. 291 litres. That's enough for a couple of large suitcases. There's no flat floor. You do have a lip to lift into. And if you lift the carpet at the bottom here, you see the vehicle battery and a can of foam. There's no spare wheel included as well. But it is actually quite practical in here. You're not going to get massive amounts of space in a car like this, but it's definitely ample. The one thing that does bug me, however, is the rear seats. There's no split seating, no 60-40. The whole back bench folds almost flat, which means if you've got large load to put in there and you have rear passengers, you have to choose. Are you taking home your DIY project or your kids? Now, I've always liked the interior of the MG3. I found it a really comfortable place that almost belies its budget status, and the new iteration is no exception. Yes, there's some scratchy-ish plastics on the dashboard, but there's also plenty of nice leatherette trim. The 10.5-inch touchscreen feels fairly premium as well, and just below that we have a bank of piano keys which give you access to the home screen, to your windscreen and rear window heating, your climate control and your radio volume. Now, the climate control and your safety systems are all controlled by the touchscreen itself. That can be a bit fiddly, but you can at least get there through them. Then on the center console, you have your parking brake, your mode selector, and your gear selector as well for the 3-speed gearbox. Now, it does get a little bit finicky here. We have a nice, again, leatherette armrest, and you don't get an armrest in a lot of budget cars. But we also have a plastic tray that's a little bit flimsy and really easy to just pull out. It is built to a price, but it's not all that bad. It does feel quality, even with, like I said, scratchy plastics in here, but it's an £18,500 car. it's still a comfortable place to be. The seats are really nice and bolstered. The headrests lean forward a little bit, so they're quite good to support your back, support your neck. The seat adjustment is a little bit tricky to get used to, and while the steering wheel does drop up and down, there's no reach. So for the taller driver, it can be a bit of a problem as well. But overall, it's a nice cockpit to be driving in. Now in the back, you've got a fair amount of room in here. That is, unless you're a tall driver like me, in which case you're not going to have a lot of leg room. Your legs are going to be squished up against the seat, but you can still get in there. And for someone who's 6 foot, there's plenty of headroom above me as well. Now, the rear seat bolstering is a bit uncomfortable. There's no centre armrest either. But overall, for a budget car, you could easily get 2 kids in here and 2 adults at a push. Now, I've driven the MG3 from Cornwall to Kent. Has given me a really great insight into how this thing handles and performs. I've always liked the MG3, but I've always found the engine, the 1.5 litre petrol engine, to be rather lacking. Yet, with the hybrid system on board, that's not the case anymore. The electric motor does enough to push the petrol engine beyond its boundaries, giving a nice smooth power transition. You may start off on electric mode, which is perfect for getaways or when you're in traffic, but then it also assists the petrol engine when you need to accelerate hard, and that's a really, really nice touch. Now, it's not just a hybrid system, it's a clever hybrid system because it can tell how you're driving and then divert power either to the engine, back to the battery, or wherever it's needed. It's so intelligent, in fact, that to tell you about it, I'm going to need a script. So let's switch to a voiceover.
There are a number of ways that the electric motor and battery work together. In EV mode, the car only runs on electric power, while in series, the engine runs the generator powering the electric motor. In series and charge, this offers the best of series mode, plus it tops up the battery when under low load. Drive and charge sees the engine driving the wheels and charging the battery through the generator, while in parallel mode, the engine and electric motor are both powering the wheels. The car selects these modes automatically, making it the most efficient drive for a hybrid engine.
Alongside those intelligent hybrid options, you also get 3 driving modes. Eco, which improves fuel consumption by using a bit more of the battery where required. Normal, which is a decent mix of hybrid and internal combustion engine. And Sport. Now, unlike in a battery electric vehicle, Sport isn't quite as punchy, but it does make best use of the electric motor to push that acceleration forward at the expense of your miles per gallon. The ride and handling is really nice. The steering is not too light and floaty, but it's not too heavy that you're going to be struggling in tighter bends, which makes this ideal for town and city driving, but it also holds its own on motorways or dual carriageways. In front of me, the driver display gives me a really nice overview of the speed I'm doing in big, clear numbers, the obstacles I may have in my path, the cruise control speed if I've got that activated, the energy flow of the vehicle, and how much energy is going into the battery or forwards to the motor. Now, you can also adapt the regenerative system to put more or less power back into the battery as required when you lift off the accelerator. Now, unlike a battery electric vehicle, it's not as sharp a pullback, but you do get a decent amount of charging back if you're in the highest regen setting, which means more electric power to use when the engine needs it. And when it comes to the motorways, it's where a couple of niggles creep in, but only niggles, mind you. There is a fair bit of cabin noise in here from wind and rolling road, which could get a bit jarring if you're doing a really long distance. Although, as I said, 250 miles, it didn't really affect me too much. The 3-speed gearbox can also be a bit laggy. If you're putting your foot down to get up a hill, you're in the cruise control, or you just want to get a burst of acceleration at a higher speed, then yes, the hybrid system kicks in. But what also happens is the engine will drop down a gear, and then it will take a bit of time to get back up into the next gear, and that creates over revving, sometimes hunting as well. But again, they're just niggles, and on a high-speed road, the handling is still really nice and precise. It's soaking up any bumps in the road surface. The steering doesn't feel wallowy at high speed. In fact, it feels very planted. Now, after a 250-mile drive, I can definitely see some of the new safety features that MG's included in the MG3. And that's partially because of European regulations, but also partially because of the Euro NCAP safety requirements. We have intelligent speed assistance, which alerts you if you go over the speed limit, and it recognises that through GPS and road sign tracking. The emergency lane keeping system is there too, and that keeps the car nice and centred and alerts you if you stray too close to the white line, although that can be annoying at times. The adaptive cruise control and intelligent cruise assist are two features part of the MG Pilot, and that keeps you at safe distance from the car in front while also monitoring white lines to provide steering input should you stray too close. And we also have a bank of cameras around the car, the front, the sides and the rear. They combine to not only give you blind spot recognition, but also provide the opportunity for 3D modelling on the touchscreen so you can see your surroundings when you're pulling away at low speed and of course when you're reversing. Now, this is a good car. I've always liked the MG3, but I've always found the petrol engine to be its biggest downfall. By adding a hybrid engine to this, they've done wonders. It now pulls like it should on both town, city roads and on motorways. The 3-speed gearbox is a bit laggy at times. There are periods at high speed where it would drop down and over rev and then take a while to compensate. But overall, if you're buying this car, you're mainly going to be using it for town and city driving, and that is where it excels. The steering is great, the power delivery is great, and the interior comfort is great as well. MG have done a fantastic job with the new MG3, and with that hybrid powertrain, it is now the complete package. And with prices starting from £18,495, it really is one that you should be considering if you're in the market for a new Super Mini.